I'll basically be comparing and contrasting the two concepts and hopefully leave you with a better understanding of the differences and similarities between BI and data discovery. In the Endeca architecture section, I'll start with where OEID fits into the current BI landscape, discuss the features and benefits of OEID, and then finish it off with discussing the components of the OEID platform, namely the Studio, Endeca Server, and Integration Suite. So in the current slide that you see, I just wanted to illustrate some of the complexity of data with a little bit of humor. So what you see in the above graphic is an analyst takes 3 years to source a data, 2 years to interpret the data, 15 more years to write and analyze the data, and finally a year to present the data. Needless to say, this is an exaggerated view, of course. However, you get the intent of the graphic. Procuring data and making sense of it on time is pretty much being always an issue at the top of all business needs. In addition to that, if you add the complexity of today's data in the forms of volume, where data has grown from megabytes to gigabytes to now terabytes of data, or if you add to it the types of data, like you get data from not just your traditional sources, but you also get data from social networks like a Facebook or a LinkedIn or a Twitter. This is basically compounded the problem which you basically see in the graphic to another level. So in the next slide, let's now look at what is information discovery. Simply put, it's basically 3 things put into one. It's something that should allow users to quickly explore all relevant data. The first reason being because we live in an era where there's a deluge of all types of data. We need to be able to respond in a timely fashion in not just getting this data in front of users, but also allow them to sort through it in a self-service fashion quickly and easily, and quickly being the catchword. Then the users need to be also, of course, using self-service techniques, explore the data without the need or requiring authoring of complex queries. Access must be given basically through some familiar search-oriented and simplified user experience. That's the exploratory nature of information discovery. And finally, in the past, relevant data might have been stored typically in a data warehouse. That's just probably not just the reality today, because data does not come just from structured sources anymore. It comes from multiple views, like we discussed the social networks before. It comes from news feeds and any kind of unstructured enterprise content. Like even if there is content in the form of text files, having textual content from different sources of data. So any unstructured source of data should also be captured within the context of your analytics. So put together, this is essentially a no data left behind kind of policy. All this data must be combined into one view that allows users to understand relationships so that they can make decisions based on the full spectrum of the data and not just the traditional structured sources of data. So this is basically information or data discovery, and like we said before, it needs to encompass all 3 of these concepts mentioned in the slide, where we're allowing users to quickly explore all relevant data. Now that we've understood what information discovery is, in the next slide, let's look at how BI is different from data discovery.